Wilson is upset about Caitlin Clark possibly moving to Europe. Asia feels that Caitlin is the biggest star in women's basketball and deserves to stay in the WNBA. It's a surprising shift, especially since Asia has previously criticized Caitlin for being privileged. Now, though, Asia is starting to understand how much of an impact Caitlin has had on the league. Still, Asia thinks she should be the one getting more attention, even though it's Caitlin who has really changed the game.
Titled players in the WNBA just can't seem to understand is, you get what you put in, and right now, you are getting exactly what you deserve.
Let's be honest, before Caitlin Clark, Asia Wilson wasn't getting much attention. She might seem nice, but recently, it's clear she can get pretty jealous, just like some other WNBA players. If Caitlin leaves for Europe, the focus will shift and Asia might fade back into the background, just like before. Deep down, Asia knows she's not the big draw she wants people to think she is, even though she tries to play it up in the media because she won an MVP. But honestly, no one's buying it.
Don't y'all want a greater profile? Don't y'all want more notoriety? Don't y'all want more hype?
Caitlin Clark moving to the EuroLeague could have opened the door for other WNBA players to consider international opportunities, creating a path for future generations. However, Asia Wilson unexpectedly stepped in, throwing a wrench in Caitlin's plans and changing the course of the deal.
Now, Asia Wilson was a more dominating player and deserved to be the MVP, and unanimous.
Wilson's involvement in blocking Caitlin Clark's move wasn't just a minor setback. It was a clear effort to stop her from grabbing the opportunity. Fresh off winning the WNBA MVP, Wilson felt she should be the face of the EuroLeague, not Clark. This wasn't just about basketball or personal preferences. It was about competition and rivalry between two of the league's top stars. With her WNBA title and status, Wilson believed she was the obvious choice for European teams to pursue. The idea of Clark being picked over her, despite Wilson's accomplishments, likely felt like a personal slap in the face. Wilson's actions seemed to come from a belief that she has already proven herself as one of the league's top players, so she deserves priority for international opportunities. In her view, Clark, who is still relatively new to the league, hasn't earned the right to overshadow more established players. Yet, some still argue that Caitlin hasn't been targeted enough this year.
Caitlin is fantastic, and I think she's going to have an incredible career in the WNBA. There are women that were worthy of coverage prior to her arriving, and I just will not be silenced when it comes to that.
This isn't the first time Wilson and Clark have clashed over big deals. In the past, Wilson reportedly tried to step in and take Clark's Nike endorsement deal for herself. That situation showed the rivalry between the two players, but the Europe controversy has really taken things to a whole new level. By blocking Clark's international opportunity, Wilson has made it clear how personal and competitive this feud has become. It begs the question, how could Wilson miss such a chance to secure her own spot?
How do you miss an opportunity like that? How do you not capitalize? It doesn't make any sense at all. And playing the politics where, oh, we need to release Asia's shoe first. Well, no, it's not Caitlin's fault that you haven't done anything for Asia yet.
With her MVP recognition, Wilson likely expected more attention from fans, sponsors, and international teams. So, when Clark, a newer player, suddenly became the center of talks about the EuroLeague, it felt like a knock on Wilson's achievements. Clark's rapid rise shifted the spotlight in a way that seemed unfair to Wilson. Instead of celebrating Wilson's success as the league's MVP, both fans and the media focused on Clark, which created a sense of competition beyond the basketball court. Wilson felt she had to protect her status and block Clark from taking opportunities she thought should be hers. Caitlin Clark is arguably the most valuable and important player in the WNBA this year and should have been a unanimous Rookie of the Year. Wilson's attempt to block Clark's Europe deal isn't a one-time thing. It's part of a growing pattern. This rivalry has been building, starting with an earlier conflict over a potential Nike endorsement deal. Reports suggest Wilson tried to interfere with Clark's efforts to secure that deal, hoping to secure her spot as Nike's top WNBA representative instead. While it's not unusual for athletes to compete for endorsements, Wilson's behavior shows just how much she sees Clark as a threat to her career. For Clark, landing a Nike deal would have solidified her as a top name in basketball, but Wilson, already an established star, wasn't ready to share the spotlight. By trying to block Clark, Wilson showed she was willing to fight to keep her position. Clark's rapid rise wasn't just a challenge. It was a reminder that the WNBA's landscape was changing, and Wilson, rather than embracing that change, chose to compete with Clark for opportunities. This rivalry has become intensely personal for Wilson. Blocking Clark's Europe deal wasn't just about securing her own future. It was a message. Wilson wanted to remind everyone that she's still a top player in the league and deserves to be treated as such. Underlying this whole situation is something deeper: personal jealousy. Wilson's actions suggest that her rivalry with Clark goes beyond basketball and business. It's a struggle for recognition in a rapidly changing league. Where Wilson once stood at the top, now she finds herself competing for attention in ways she hadn't anticipated.
It's the most valuable, most important person in the WNBA this year, and should have been unanimous Rookie of the Year.
Before Caitlin Clark entered the league, Wilson was already one of the WNBA's top stars, earning accolades and endorsement deals. But since Clark's arrival, the focus has shifted. Now, Clark is the one getting all the media attention, endorsement deals, and fan support. This change has made it harder for Wilson to fully enjoy her own success without feeling overshadowed by Clark's rapid rise. That sense of jealousy is clear, not only in Wilson's actions, but also in the way she talks about Clark. Wilson has made comments implying that Clark had an easier path to success, suggesting that her rise was more about privilege than hard work. These remarks reveal Wilson's frustration with the way the spotlight has moved away from her, even though she feels she's earned her place at the top. One of the clearest signs of Caitlin Clark's impact on the WNBA is the drop in viewership when she's not playing. Clark has become a magnet for fans, drawing in viewers who may not have followed women's basketball before. But when she's off the court, the numbers tell a different story. Fans tune out and engagement drops, even with other star players like Aya Wilson still in the game. This trend highlights a tough truth. Clark isn't just a talented player. She's become a driving force behind the league's growing popularity. Wilson and other top players continue to perform at a high level, but fan interest has remained flat. This shows a hard truth for Wilson. Talent alone isn't enough to grab attention. Caitlin Clark's unique charisma and style of play have connected with fans in a way that Wilson, despite her many achievements, hasn't been able to do. While the league has always had talented players, Clark's arrival brought something fresh. A level of excitement that not only drew in new fans, but also re-energized the existing ones. Without Clark on the court, it seems many fans lose interest. Even when stars like Wilson are playing their best, as the league continues to grow, it's becoming clear that talent isn't the only thing that drives the game forward. Players need to connect with fans, create memorable moments, and generate excitement. Qualities Clark has in spades. For Wilson, realizing that Clark is now the key driver of fan interest has been tough to accept, and it's only added fuel to the rivalry between the two.
A'ja Wilson, 28 years old, 1,000 points in the regular season. Why is that not the biggest story out at the moment? Why are we talking about Caitlin Clark?
Exactly. Why when A'ja was releasing a shoe, were we talking about Caitlin Clark?
The sudden shift in focus toward Caitlin Clark has shaken up the league, leaving some players feeling overlooked and undervalued. Instead of celebrating Clark's success as a win for women's basketball, these players view her rise as a threat. This frustration has been visible both on and off the court. Clark has become the most fouled player in the WNBA, with opponents aggressively targeting her. While some of this can be linked to her style of play, it also highlights the growing tension in the league. Players frustrated by Clark's success seem determined to challenge her dominance, even if it means resorting to more physical play. The resentment toward Caitlin Clark also points to a deeper issue: the struggle to accept change. Many players have worked for years to build their careers, only to see Clark come in and quickly become the face of the league. This rapid shift has been tough for some to handle, leading to jealousy and criticism. Instead of celebrating the positive impact Clark has had on the league, some players focus on what they feel is unfair treatment. Namely, that Clark has received more attention and opportunities than they did when they were coming up. As one player said, she's an incredible basketball player. But let's not forget there are 143 women who helped get the league to where it is today. Despite the backlash, Clark has been crucial in driving significant improvements for WNBA players. Her popularity and influence have helped bring about changes that benefit the entire league, including private jets for player travel and higher wages. These upgrades have made life easier for many players, addressing long-standing issues like travel conditions and salaries. Without her impact, it's unlikely the WNBA would have secured the resources needed to provide these benefits. Yet, instead of recognizing her role in these changes, some players continue to criticize Clark, focusing more on their frustrations with her success and fueling the rivalry and resentment toward her. That Clark's influence has made life better for the very players who now criticize her. The improvements in travel and wages are directly tied to the attention and revenue she's brought to the league, changes that wouldn't have been possible without her. Still, rather than showing gratitude, Clark faces hostility, underscoring the complicated dynamics within the WNBA. Wilson's decision to interfere with Clark's Europe deal is perhaps the clearest example of the jealousy and rivalry that exists in the league. Wilson's decision to block Caitlin Clark's Europe deal is perhaps the clearest sign of the rivalry and jealousy within the WNBA. By stepping in to stop the contract, Wilson made it obvious that she sees Clark not just as a competitor, but as a threat to her own legacy. This wasn't just about protecting her career. It was about preventing Clark from growing her influence beyond the WNBA. The Europe deal controversy underscores the challenges Clark faces as she reshapes the league. While her impact has led to positive changes, it's also sparked resentment from those who feel threatened by her success. As the WNBA continues to evolve, players like Wilson will need to adapt and thrive, whether that means embracing the changes Clark has brought or carving their own path forward. Wilson will have to navigate the complexities of competition and collaboration. The opposition may be fierce, but one thing is certain. Caitlin Clark will leave a lasting mark on the WNBA. She's changing the game and inspiring the next generation of players. Fans, analysts, and players alike will be watching closely to see how her story unfolds. She's already a star in the making. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. More videos are coming up now.
Here's the reality. It wasn't what it is. The quality of basketball may have been up to snuff, and you had somebody as popular as Cheryl Swoops who had her own signature shoe, had to deal with Nike and all of this other stuff. But the bottom line is, very few people gave a damn.